Imagine a single point on the map, a bottleneck so tight, so precarious, that one stray missile, one hijacked skiff, or even just the rumor of trouble here can send the global economy into a tailspin. Every single day, a floating armada of supertankers, hulking container ships, and cargo vessels laden with billions in goods are funneled through this aquatic corridor. It's a high-stakes game of maritime Tetris. If this gateway slams shut, the alternative is a nightmare, a 6,000 nautical mile detour around the bottom of Africa. We're talking weeks of extra sailing, millions in fuel costs, and supply chains snapping like twigs. This is the Bab-el-Mandeb Strait, the world's most terrifying maritime choke point. And its name? It's haunting. In Arabic, it translates to the Gate of Tears. But why? Why would the planet's most vital economic artery bear such a tragic, sorrowful name? The origin is shrouded in mystery. One ancient, blood-curdling legend tells of a catastrophic earthquake that violently wrenched the Arabian Peninsula away from Africa. The land split, the sea rushed in, and thousands drowned in an instant. The name was born from that ancient cataclysm. But there's another theory, one grounded in the sheer terror of seafaring. For millennia, sailors approached these waters with dread. This wasn't a gentle passage. It was a nautical gauntlet. Hidden reefs that could rip the hull off a ship, violent squalls that appeared from nowhere, and currents so powerful they could drag vessels to their doom. Countless ships never reached the other side. Thousands of sailors found a watery grave here. Whether born from the grief of a lost land or the hazards of navigation, one thing is certain. For thousands of years, this narrow passage has inspired a primal, visceral fear. It's always been a place that commanded respect, or else. So, where in the world is this Gate of Tears? It's the jagged, unforgiving gap between war-torn Yemen on the Arabian Peninsula and the Horn of Africa, specifically Djibouti and Eritrea. Think of it as the key to the Red Sea's front door. On one side, you have the Gulf of Aden and the vast Indian Ocean. On the other, the Suez Canal and the Mediterranean Sea. At its most claustrophobic point, this strait is just 26 kilometers, about 16 miles, wide. To put that in perspective, you could practically see from one coast to the other on a clear day. To make matters even more precarious, Param Island sits right in the middle, splitting the passage into two channels. It's a natural obstacle in an already dangerous game. Every single ship transiting between the Mediterranean and the Indian Ocean must squeeze through this gap. No exceptions. But here's the kicker. This isn't a new problem. We think of globalization as a modern concept, but the Bab-el-Mandeb was the original superhighway. We're talking 4,500 years ago. Ancient Egyptian expeditions would sail these waters, heading for the mythical land of Punt, returning with treasures that seemed otherworldly. Incense, ebony, gold, and exotic animals. Then came the Greeks and Romans, using the Red Sea to get their hands on Arabian and Indian luxuries. But the true masters were the Arab sailors. They rode the seasonal monsoons like a cosmic clock, ferrying spices, silks, pearls, and coffee across this aquatic bridge between civilizations. Long before the age of oil and megaships, the Gate of Tears was already one of the most important commercial gateways in human history. It's where the world's great empires came to trade. Then, in 1869, everything changed. The Suez Canal was carved into the Egyptian desert, and suddenly, Europe and Asia were connected by a direct, artificial river. Overnight, the Bab-el-Mandeb went from being a major trade route to being the absolute, indispensable southern lock on the world's most valuable shortcut. The British Empire, ever the pragmatists, realized its value instantly. Whoever controlled the Gate of Tears controlled the lifeline to the crown jewel of their empire, India. They locked down nearby Aden and ensured that their Red Sea highway was untouchable. Fast forward 150 years, and that imperial chess game has only gotten more intense. The players have changed, but the prize remains exactly the same. Today, this tiny strip of water is one of the busiest and most dangerous shipping lanes on the planet. A staggering percentage of the world's oil, liquid natural gas, and manufactured goods flow through here. But here's the problem. The surrounding neighborhood is a powder keg. Yemen, on the northern shore, has been consumed by a brutal civil war. To the south, Somalia's lawless coast spawned a generation of pirates who held the world hostage. And lately, we've seen missile and drone attacks from rebel forces hitting commercial vessels with chilling accuracy. It's a terrifying reality. When the Gate of Tears becomes too hot, the shipping industry panics. They divert their ships, thousands of them, on that impossibly long, expensive journey around the Cape of Good Hope. That diversion doesn't just cost shipping companies. It hits you in the wallet. It drives up insurance costs, delays deliveries, and inflates fuel prices. Ultimately, that trickles down to the price of your groceries, your car, and just about everything else. That's why the major powers don't just watch the strait. They practically camp out on its doorstep. The waters are constantly patrolled by an armada of international naval forces. Their job? To make sure the attacks stop and the oil keeps flowing. But the true symbol of this strait's power is the tiny nation of Djibouti. It's barely a blip on the map, yet it hosts military bases for the United States, France, Japan, Italy, and China. It's one of the only places on Earth where geopolitical rivals are effectively roommates, sharing a canteen because they all agree on one undeniable truth. Keeping the Gate of Tears open is more important than their rivalry. The Bab-el-Mandeb is only a few miles wide, but its influence spans the entire globe. For thousands of years, this channel has been the ultimate prize. Control the Gate of Tears, and you control the flow of global commerce. Today, billions of people who have never even heard its name depend on it for their daily lives. A silent, fragile thread stretched between two continents, quietly and dangerously, keeping our world connected. If you love uncovering the forgotten battlegrounds and the hidden places that shape our world, hit that subscribe button. We've got more stories from the edges of the map coming your way.